It was one of those days. I had just finished replying to a comment from a woman on YouTube. She had been trying to help her boyfriend with his quest to buy a new car, but he got angry at her and he started yelling and she started crying. And he said he was sorry for yelling at her, but it was her fault that he reacted like that. And then I clicked over to another new comment. And this comment was by a man who had watched my video on what to do when your boyfriend shouts at you. And he angrily pointed out that I had not even mentioned what these women were doing to make their boyfriends shout at them. And I just buried my head in my hands. Some men get angry an awful lot. I remember one relationship, he would get angry and I would get upset and start to cry. And that would make him even angrier. And I asked him one time, why are you always mad and I'm always sad? And what did he do? He got angry because to him, a woman's tears were always fake. Women cried to manipulate men. They exaggerated their feelings to make men feel bad. And it was only much, much later that I learned the origin of this belief, a belief that prevented him from being able to empathize, a belief that told him the appropriate course of action to his partner's suffering was to attack. Hi, I'm Amy Waterman. I'm a love educator here with yourbrilliance.com, and my mission is to help women live their most brilliant life. So if you are new here, welcome. I hope you subscribe and stick around. Keep watching to find out why some men get angry instead of empathizing and being supportive when their partners are upset. But first, why are we women so good at supporting other people's emotions? Well, it's because we've been trained from a young age to notice feelings in ourselves and in others. We are given language for those feelings, and we're rewarded with closeness and connection when we express our emotions. Now, many boys receive the opposite education. They are actually discouraged from knowing or talking about their feelings. They learn that real men don't show emotions. In fact, emotions are a weakness. If a boy cries, he deserves to be called a wimp. Real men are rational and in control of themselves at all times. Now, as they grow up, these boys learn to make fun of displays of emotions in others. They scoff at vulnerability. They mock tears. They bond with other guys by putting people down. And unfortunately, these very same young men then want to get into relationships with girls. Girls are all about feelings. Girls even want them to show their feelings and talk about their feelings. But many of these guys have cut themselves off from that soft, squishy stuff. So what do? They pretend. They act romantic. They say what they know she wants them to say. And if those words don't match up with how they actually feel inside, well, she'll never know. Now, some experts say that this is just how men are. Men aren't comfortable with displays of emotions. Men don't like talking about their feelings. But in fact, this is not how men are. It's what some men have become. And those men can always become healthier, happier, and more emotionally self-aware. Research shows that little boys are just as emotional and affectionate as little girls. So the capacity to feel emotions is actually innate. We humans all have the same circuitry, and that circuitry is there for good reason. It evolved to drive our behavior. The purpose of emotions is to teach us what to pay attention to. Emotions teach us what to stay away from. Emotions energize and motivate us. Emotions help us survive. So men need emotions just as much as women do. Feelings like joy and pleasure and contentment make life worth living. Unfortunately, you can't selectively choose to feel the pleasant emotions and exclude the uncomfortable ones. So either you're aware of your emotional life or you shut that awareness down. Now, for some men, shutting down their emotional life helped them survive a difficult childhood. But as adults in relationships with women, it's not serving them anymore. They have a very limited emotional range. They can feel anger, they can feel frustration, but they can't access the complex feelings of belief like disappointment or grief or anxiety. And the women in their lives want to know what's going on underneath. They want to understand, but all they're getting is his anger. And that anger feels like an unprovoked attack. Now, anger is some men's default emotion whenever they're unwilling or unable to explore their discomfort. So every time he feels negative physiological arousal, he tells himself that it's anger. Or anytime that he feels discomfort in his relationship, he doesn't ask why. Instead, he jumps to the conclusion that something is making him angry. And often that something is his partner's emotions. Female emotions are a very easy target for men. What's wrong with a relationship? Well, it's clearly her feelings. She's always having feelings. So many of them. How's that even possible? When she's sad or when she's upset, he feels guilty. He knows he didn't do anything wrong, but he still feels responsible for her pain. Her pain makes him look bad. So what does he do? Well, he falls back on the same prejudice against emotions that he's been indoctrinated in since childhood. What a joke. She's making it all up. She's making a mountain out of a molehill. She's embarrassing herself. She needs to get control of herself. He's sick of her dramatics. He's not going to tolerate it anymore. So he lashes out, goes cold, walks away. And she's left sobbing, sick at heart, feeling the shame of being absolutely alone. So what can she do? Step one, define the problem. It's one thing if you're with a man who doesn't know how to support you emotionally. That is a skill that can be learned. But it's quite another if you're with a man who feels that he has a right to lash out at you. If he shames you for your feelings, if he considers himself superior because of his stone cold self control, if love is too squishy for a man of his caliber, then think about how those power dynamics are playing out in your relationship. Are you okay being the woman he says you are? Or do you know that your big heart, a heart that feels so intensely, is one of the very best parts about you? Step number two, get help. Now, there's only one school of therapy that I recommend when you're in this kind of relationship. Relational life therapy, founded by Terry Real, tackles the problem of male grandiosity and emotional shutdown head on. Relational life therapists aren't neutral. They take sides, and they always take the side of the disempowered partner. As Dr. Real explains, they quote, invite the weak to rise and the mighty to melt. Now, as much as you may want to fix this problem on your own, in practice, that can be almost impossible. That man who was always angry at me stayed angry at me. Vulnerable emotions stopped having a place in our relationship. I couldn't be safely vulnerable with him because he would respond with sarcasm. And he wouldn't be vulnerable with me because that showed weakness. Step number three, choose your future. What convinced me to take a stand in the end was envisioning this man as a father. If he felt that way about female emotions, how would he deal with a daughter? What if she was upset and crying? Would he tell her that she was overreacting? Would he leave her to cry herself out and deal with her later when she was in a more reasonable frame of mind? Men need emotional intelligence to be good husbands, good fathers, and good employees or employers. Understanding emotions makes them more level-headed and less reactive. Is your guy up to that challenge? Thank you so much for watching. Now, if this video helped you in any way, let me know by hitting that like button. And please comment below if you are struggling with this issue in your relationship. Take really good care of yourself, and I will see you next time.